How's it going, partner? Ready to step back in time and wrangle your way through some of the most jaw-dropping eats the Wild West had to offer? Well, slap your chaps on and grab your spurs because we're about to embark on a rootin' good time that'll have you howdy-hoing for more. 25 Wild West saloon foods you won't believe cowboys actually ate. Kick up your feet and get ready for a culinary journey that'll leave you either bucking for joy or ready to chuck a few. First up, we got beans and salt pork, aka free lunch. That's right, grub was so scarce back then the saloons started offering free lunches just to reel in thirsty customers who'd end up spending a pretty penny on drinks. And let's be real, a bowl of beans and a slab of salt pork ain't exactly a 5-star spread. But it was enough to keep a cowboy's belly from growling during those long, lonely rides. Next, we got Hardtack Biscuits, also known as Cowboy's Bread of Survival. This ain't your mama's buttermilk biscuits, partner. These babies were hard as a rock and tougher than a $2 steak. But when you got nothing else to munch on, well, you just gotta do what you gotta do. Now, let's talk about a snack that'll make your whiskers twitch: cheese and pickles. Nothing fancy here, just a hunk of cheese and a jar of pickles, probably not even from last week. But out on the frontier, this was the fancy stuff, the caviar of the cowpoke set. Hold your horses because we ain't done yet. We got canned oysters. Yeah, oysters. How in tarnation did they get those slippery suckers out to the middle of nowhere? Well, somehow they did. And if you were feeling fancy, you could fork over a couple of quarters and dig in. Now, for a taste of the sea that'll curl your whiskers, sardines in oil. Picture this, a little tin box with a whole mess of sardines flopping around in some glistening oil. Not exactly a delicacy, but hey, it's a saloon, not a 5-star joint. Next up, we got pickled eggs, another staple of the saloon. Bar, just a jar of eggs soaking in a vinegar brine. Some folks like them, some folks don't. But hey, variety is the spice of life, right? Now, before we move on to our next dish, I need you to put your thinking cap on, partner. What do you think these are? Rocky Mountain oysters? Nope, they ain't seafood. They're bull or ram testicles. So if you're feeling adventurous, why not give them a try? Or maybe steer clear and stick to something a little less, personal. And now for a taste of home cooking, son of a bitch stew. It might sound like a cussin' match, but it's really just a hearty beef and vegetable stew with a little kick. Perfect for a cold night's chill. For a dish that'll make your mouth water and your stomach growl, we got buffalo steak. Picture a thick cut of buffalo meat sizzling away on a cast iron skillet. Just make sure to chew it real slow and enjoy the flavor, because there ain't no room for spitting out bones in the Wild West. Next up, we got Venison Jerky, a must-have for any long-haul trek. Just strips of dried meat hanging on a rack, ready to be sliced and munched on the go. For a taste of the wild, we got bear roast. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but out in the Wild West, bear meat was a popular game, especially after a successful hunt. Now let's turn our attention to a small game stew, Squirrel Stew. Yep, you heard right, Squirrel Stew. These bushy-tailed critters were a common sight in the Wild West, and they didn't just scamper around the trees, they ended up in a lot of stews. For a taste of the skies, we got prairie chicken, otherwise known as grouse. This plump little game bird was a favorite of many Wild West hunters, and it often ended up on the menu in saloons and restaurants alike. Now, for a taste of the deep, dark waters, we got fried catfish. This succulent fish was often served up in the southern Wild West, and it was usually fried to perfection. For a dish that's both comforting and curious, we got rabbit pie. Imagine a golden-hued pie with a flaky crust and a surprise wait till you cut it open and find a whole rabbit looking back at you. And now, for a taste of history, sourdough bread. Yep, that's right, sourdough. Back in the Wild West days, saloons were often the only places you could find a fresh loaf of this tangy, bubbly bread. Now, for a sweet treat that'll make your mouth water, soda biscuits. Fluffy, buttery biscuits that were often served up alongside a pot of coffee. They might not have been fancy, but they were sure as hell tasty. We got corn dodgers, also known as cornmeal cakes. These rustic fried cakes were a popular snack in the Wild West, and they were usually served up with a side of beans or chili. And for a taste of heaven, we got apple pie, the quintessential American classic. Out on the frontier, apple pie was a reminder of home, and it was often enjoyed with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Now for a little slice of autumn, we got pumpkin pie. Yep, pumpkin pie, a spiced, creamy delight that was often served up alongside apple pie. And now for the lifeblood of the saloon, coffee, cowboy brew. Strong, bitter, and essential. Coffee was a must-have for any weary traveler, and it was often brewed up in giant pots over open fires. For a little fizz in your fizz, we got Sarsaparilla, a fizzy brown soda that was a popular choice in the Wild West. Some say it tasted like root beer, but that's a story for another time. And finally, we come to the king of the saloon, whiskey, saloon's lifeblood. Whether you like it neat, on the rocks, or in a fancy concoction, whiskey was the drink of choice for many a Wild West hero and villain. But hey, if you're thirsty for something a little cheaper, we got beer, 15 cents a mug. That's right, only a nickel more than a soda. Pop on down to the nearest saloon and wash away your troubles with a frothy mug of suds. And remember, partner, it's all just a big joke. Unless you're in the business of slinging grub, then it's dead serious. Now, I want you to take a good look at this spread and tell me what you see. What about now? What do you see now? See, that's the genius of it. There ain't no way of knowing what's in that there pot. And that's what made free lunch so stinkin' brilliant. Saloons would pile all their questionable leftovers into one big pot and call it a day. Then they'd pile it high on their counters and watch the customers dig in. Of course, the saloon's owners knew exactly what was in the pot. It was a clever ruse to lure in unsuspecting cowboys and cowgirls and keep them coming back for more. So, while it might not have been the fanciest spread in town, it was definitely the most profitable. Well, howdy partners, which dish shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to stay tuned for more rootin' tootin' good times here at Power of History.